bridges we burn.
Here we go.
We make mistakes.
We're going to learn and grow with Dr. Teitelbaum. So
When life gets tough,
exciting ride.
seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be. I'll be right here. Right here. And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Well, hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are new to the Lillian McDermott radio show, the purpose of the show is to provide a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening friend, will feel empowered to learn a new truth and embrace the life of your dreams. Now, today, I'm excited because just recently we had a series, or I'm committed to a new cause, which is Alzheimer's. And we had Peggy Sarlin on the show, and she shared about awakening from Alzheimer's. And that is when I met this particular doctor. This was when I learned about him, because I'm meeting him today. So I learned about Dr. Jacob Teitelbaum and the work that he is doing to not only help heal Alzheimer's, but also chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia. Dr. Jacob Teitelbaum is board-certified internist and nationally known expert in the field of chronic and fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia, sleep, pain, and as I mentioned, Alzheimer's as well. He is the director of the Practitioners Alliance Network and the author of numerous books. The one we're going to talk about today is the Fatigue and Fibromyalgia Solution. And as a result of his own health issues, he learned a new protocol that he refers to S.H.I.N.E. And we're going to talk about S.H.I.N.E. And it stands for hormones, or wait a second. The protocol stands for sleep, hormones, infections, nutrition, and exercise. But he also has another protocol that's called MIND. That would be for the Alzheimer's solution. And so we're going to talk about today the S.H.I.N.E. protocol, and maybe if we can get to it, we'll talk about the MIND protocol. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Dr. Jacob Teitelbaum is here to do just that. Welcome, Dr. Teitelbaum, to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show.
Lillian, great to be with you. And for your listeners today, for those of you who have chronic fatigue or chronic pain, or fibromyalgia when it gets to one of its most severe forms, we're going to teach you not only what's causing it and how to tell if you have it, but how to get well. Because many of you have seen doctors that are clueless at best. And the nice thing is you can get well with or without them. This is all in your power. So today, people are going to get their lives back.
I'm excited about that. That's what we focus on the Lillian McDermott Radio Show. We need to be bold. We need to be courageous to step against what we've been domesticated to believe. And it's doctors like you, Dr. Teitelbaum, that make my show even more passionate, because there's so many things we don't know. And so share your journey and what led you. You're a medical doctor. So how did you get to this idea, this philosophy, this study?
You mean, what's a nice Jewish doctor like me doing in a field like this?
Yes, exactly. That's a great line. I wish I would have thought of it.
I got into it the old-fashioned way, Lillian. I found myself on the other side of white coat. And I was in medical school, and medical school was one of the easier parts of my life. I was paying my own way through college. My dad was dead. And finished college in about 2.5 years because you pay by the year. So I just ran through and then was rolling through medical school. And in the middle of all that, my family was an Auschwitz family. Most of them had died in Auschwitz, and my remaining ones were survivors. And they went through a meltdown when I was in medical school. And basically, I made the mistake of trying to be the peacemaker. And people with fibromyalgia tend to be fairly empathic.
Really?
We care a lot. We feel a lot into people. And to feel the pain the family was going through, I just wasn't emotionally mature enough to handle it. And I got in the middle of it. It would have made a TV sitcom, one of those, but people would have said, no, that's too unbelievable. And in the middle of all that, I came down with what I call the drop-dead flu, nasty viral syndrome. And 6 weeks later, we're still non-functional. And the doctors knew there was a virus, couldn't figure anything out. The professors were very nice, but they figured I must be depressed because I wasn't getting better. And I had to drop out of medical school, and it left me homeless, sleeping in parks, because I was paying my own way through med school. So no work study, no scholarship, no loans. I was in parks. And that's where I learned how to get better. It's as if God hung a holistic homeless medical school sign on my park bench.
And you were probably surrounded by weeds that made you feel really good. I'm not talking about pot now. I'm talking about the weeds on the ground, because there's medicinal value to everything that isn't synthetic. So what an interesting and fascinating story, Dr. Teitelbaum. So when I wanted to, I know that we're going to dive into your S.H.I.N.E protocol, but what an incredible story. Most people would have crawled up in a ball and thought, you know what, I'm justified to do this, but you got out of it. And what an inspiring story. And I hope people that are listening know that even with the worst situation that you find yourself in, there's a way out, and it's usually within and up. And we're going to continue our conversation with Dr. Teitelbaum when we return worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Wow, wow, wow. What a story, Dr. Teitelbaum.
I'll be right here waiting for you.
So, Dr. Teitelbaum, I've heard that people that are empathic end up either, like for me, I shut down all my emotions because it was so difficult to feel what other people were feeling. But I was told that a lot of people that are empathic, that don't understand what's going on, turn to drugs to numb the pain. So congratulations that you stayed focused on your vision and your desire to be a doctor.
Well, Lillian, I thought at that point my life was over and done. And my whole life had been geared to being a healer, which in that culture meant being a doctor. And I was crushed. And, it's okay. And for people with this illness, of course you're going to feel wiped out. But understand that life never gives us anything that we don't have the ability to take care of. And there is a way to get well. I will teach you today how to get well. We have websites, we have Facebook pages, we're answering questions. You are not alone in this process. And what you will find is once you get well, you will look back and realize that this illness taught you to say no to things, because most of you who this illness are people pleasers. We have trouble saying no. We don't want to avoid losing approval. And because of that, Lillian, let's talk about the disease a bit, and we'll see how the mind, body, spirit taps in with it.
Absolutely. That is you're speaking my language and to my heart. And I believe that we're about to get started with our second segment. So here we go. I hope I'm right on cue. There you go. Right on cue.
When you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, and I am excited to have Dr. Jacob Teitelbaum on the show. If you are in pain, if you have been diagnosed with fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, oh boy, are you in luck. What an amazing man who has spent his career not only learning how to heal himself, but through that process be able to teach you how to heal yourself. Because, Dr. Teitelbaum, many people have given up their power to heal. And I was saying to you during the break that I'm just so inspired that that you were able to keep on keeping on. And so you had mentioned something about, how you've never given anything more than you can handle, basically is what you were saying. And what was that moment for you that you said, aha, this is a blessing in disguise?
It's much easier on the other end when you're feeling better. And I'll say that. I felt like my life was over. My whole life had been geared to being a healer or physician. And I didn't know I could go back to med school if I got better. I figured that was it. I was done. And I had nothing in my life. I was just empty. And it took me a while licking my wounds and going through the grieving process for it. But then, there was life. There was the road, whether I was hitchhiking or whatever. And as the universe brought me people, it brought me healers, herbalists, energy workers, homeopaths, naturopaths. I didn't even know there's a thing such as a naturopath. And all these people taught me bits and pieces of what I needed to do to get well. And I started to integrate them. And sometimes they even fed me if they had a pizza I ate that day, So and as I started to get my life back, it took me several years later to really figure it out. But again, this is a very real physical process. I don't want listeners to think that because I'm talking about a psychospiritual component that this is not a real disease. If you have a psychospiritual component from multiple sclerosis, which tends to be repressed age, uterine cancer, all these different things. And this is no different. So let's go to how people can recognize the disease, how to make it go away.
Sure. But how do you know the difference between if you do have a disease? Because many people are misdiagnosed, and that's part of the process is, you think that now I have a diagnosis. Now I can take a pill, but my registered service mark is you can take a pill, you can take responsibility. And it's not that I'm against the pill, it's that I'm for doing everything you possibly can. And so here you are, you're getting a diagnosis, or you don't even have a diagnosis, and you got to figure it out. But now there's everybody gets a diagnosis. How do you know it's a diagnosis is real?
Here's how you tell. It's really straightforward. If you have fatigue and widespread pain in 4 different parts of your body that comes and goes or may be steady. But if you have that fatigue and pain combined with insomnia, most people who have severe fatigue, they can sleep all day and all night. But if you can't get a good night's sleep, even if you make the time, that's how you tell that paradox. Exhausted, can't sleep. If you're not sure, on our website, vitality101.com, we have a lot of tools there. There's a simple quiz you can do. It's called Step 2. And it will tell you if you have fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue syndrome. It really is very simple. Now, what many doctors do is they say, I don't know what's wrong with you, so you're crazy. And that's not acceptable. They used to do that for multiple sclerosis, which they called hysterical paralysis. And it's just, no. If the doctor says, well, implies to your family, well, doesn't make sense to me, so you must be crazy kind of thing. I want you to walk up to the doctor, stand up, walk up to the doctor, look at him, say, thank you, and give him a big hug and let him know, I really appreciate you letting me know right up front what a complete and utter idiot you are. I don't waste my and my family's time on you. Goodbye, and walk out.
Fired. You're fired.
Okay. You're fired, exactly.
Yes.
And it's just not acceptable. If you had multiple sclerosis and they did that, which they used to do, like they used to be called hysterical paralysis, nobody would put up with it.
Sure.
Nor should you.
But a lot of people feel less than because they're getting that from their doctors. So now we get to that point. you've explained the symptoms, the cause. I've had Dr. Mona Lisa Scholes on the show. She says every disease has a root cause that is emotional. And we've talked about cell memory on the show and how there are certain memories that go to certain centers in the body. And so it sounds like you're very like-minded to that philosophy as well, or it's not just the philosophy. I know that it's science that people want to make it sound like woo-woo science. So you have come up with this component where you know that there is an emotional aspect and we do need to heal that emotional aspect. But let's start looking at the physical part. So you talk about sleep. Sleep is part of the S.H.I.N.E. You have your protocol. So let's specifically talk about sleep and how can we get sleep if somebody is in pain and going through this diagnosis.
So here's the thing. What happens in this disease is that it's an energy crisis where a person has essentially blown a fuse. It's just like if you overload too many circuits in your home on a cold evening, if you have too many space heaters, boom, off goes the circuit breaker. And the name of the circuit breaker that goes offline in this disease is called the hypothalamus. It controls sleep, so you can't sleep even though you're exhausted, and that's why it's a hallmark of the disease. So there's many things you can do for sleep. I usually find that a mix of natural and prescription therapies works best in this illness, what we call comprehensive medicine. So I begin with 2 herbal mixes. One is called the Revitalizing Sleep Formula. Another is called Terrific Z's. We will use medications in very, very low dose, like trazodone, Neurontin. There's really over 30 different natural and holistic therapies and prescription medications. A hot bath with 2 cups of Epsom salts can be very, very helpful.
That's magnesium, though. The Epsom salts brings magnesium to the body. So are you saying that people that magnesium would be also good for them?
Absolutely, because magnesium deficiency is one of the key things that contributes to the muscle tightening, which is what causes the initial pain in this illness. When you think about an energy crisis, muscles are like a spring, and it takes more energy to stretch the muscle than it does to contract. That's why after a hard workout, you don't come home and say, honey, my muscles are all loose and limp. You say they're all tight. So, and when you don't have energy throughout your body, all the muscles go lock in a shortened position and you hurt. Magnesium adds energy to the muscles. The heat from the hot bath adds energy to the muscles. All of that lets the muscles relax. So the pain settles down, your muscles relax, and you can ease into sleep more easily.
Very nice. And so is there a particular magnesium? Because we know there's a lot of different kinds of magnesium. Does it matter?
Well, by mouth, Epsom salts, straightforward. Any brand, Costco has 10-pound bags, are cheap. For the magnesium by mouth, I like to use a vitamin powder. I don't like people taking handfuls of pills all day. So when you get to the end, we'll talk about something called the Energy Revitalization System vitamin powder, where one scoop replaces 50 different pills. And basically, it will have 200 milligrams of magnesium glycinate, which is one of the best absorbed forms. So that's already going to be in that. You don't have to be doing 100 different things. Also, for the listener today, you don't have to scribble frantically. If you go to the Vitality101.com website, write that one down. We'll have the tools you need to get well. There's a simple free quiz. It's funny. I have the U.S. patent for computerized doctor because I figured there's one of me and 50 million people worldwide with the disease.
Yeah.
So I took my brain and I programmed it. And we initially charged $400 for people to do the thing, and we told people, but if you can't afford, we can do it for free. And 80% of people wrote back and said, I'm broke, I'm crippled with this disease. So my wife and I just decided to make the thing free for everybody. This is our gift.
Oh,
so if you do the energy analysis program, it's a computerized physician in essence. It will analyze your symptoms and even your lab tests if you have them, tell you what's causing your fibromyalgia and how to make it go away.
Wonderful.
So you don't have to scribble everything frantically today, as Lillian and I are talking.
So that would be, because I know I get text all the time. What was that? What was that website again? Okay, so it's vitality101.com with Dr. T. So this is his. He's duplicated himself. He's figured out a way to clone himself legally, right? So, basically. Okay, so sleep. Now you say 200 milligrams of magnesium. Is that enough for
That's
someone
enough
who
for
might
most
be?
people. And many people with this illness have gut problems where if they take much more, they're going to get diarrhea. And if they get diarrhea from even 200, there's a form called Jigsaw sustained release magnesium that won't cause the runs. But you don't need the cost of it if it doesn't cause diarrhea.
Okay, so not being able to sleep right there, that could cause anyone to be feeling a little uncomfortable, anxious, and depressed even.
And energy depleted.
That's right. Sleep is so important. Especially, do you want to say anything about the hours of 10 and 2? Because I've had different doctors say that that is the most healing time for the human body.
Well, it's funny. That's the only time during the day that a lot of people have any energy, is the energy time from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And they're frustrated because they're exhausted all day. Then 10 a.m., they 10 p.m., they finally have a brain, a little bit of energy, and everybody's time to go to sleep. And it's really okay not to. If you're not having to work the next day, set your own hours. Just have them be routine. You may find 2 a.m. is when you go to bed. And let me make a comment on the average night's sleep. Lillian, you want to guess what the average night's sleep in the United States was? How many hours?
Oh gosh, probably
years ago.
By about 6, maybe. I don't know.
It was 9 hours a night was the average night's sleep in the
No
U.S.
way! Who's sleeping that much?
Until light bulbs were developed, and now we're down to 6 3/4. That's a 30% pay cut, and that's part of the reason we have this perfect storm for human energy crisis going on right now.
What? That is brilliant. That makes sense. Since we have electricity, people, what do they have to do? They can work on the computer. We can work all day, all night if we wanted to. Wow, that is amazing. Okay, so that boy, my light bulb just went out on that one. So, okay, so the next one we talk about is hormone, and I know that we have just a little bit left to the segment, but share a little bit about hormones and what particular you're looking for with this chronic fatigue.
The hypothalamus is a major control center, controls sleep, also controls hormones. So thyroid, adrenal, reproductive hormones, and a bunch of others are all down. Now, the blood tests are not reliable. We could do a whole show discussing why that is. But the bottom line is that the normal range for blood test is based on they take 100 people and they do two standard deviations. The 95% in the middle are defined as normal. So normal range for shoe sizes. And this analogy I gave Dr. Oz, who's a friend of mine that he loves to run with. The normal range for shoe sizes is size 5 to 13. So you come to Hawaii where I live, and we leave our shoes at the door to not tracking the lava, and now we leave, and I'm wearing your size 8 shoe, and you have my size 13. So we both go to the shoe doctor, and the shoe doctor say, nothing wrong, it's in the normal range. I said, my toe doesn't fit in the damn thing. Go, oh, it's normal, you're crazy.
Well, I tell you what, that is a very good visual, because many of us rely on what normal is, and the reality is we're very unique. We're very unique. And so that's a great visual. You've got it going on, sir. And we're going to continue our conversation with Dr. Jacob Teitelbaum when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. What a great analogy, sir.
I'll be right here waiting for you.
We talk all the time about how we've been lied to. And the process of this lie has domesticated us to trust and not verify. And when it comes to the things that we don't know, we leave it up to somebody else. We trust somebody else with our life. And, there's a time that you trust your doctors and you trust your family and your friends. But there comes a time when you say, this doesn't work for me anymore.
In the fourth segment, we may want to talk about how to tell. Because, again, And most of what's on TV is utter nonsense these days. I tell people just turn it off and take the time for sleep. On both sides. And I'm on CNN, I'm on Fox. That just, God bless them, all sweet people. But it's a, how to say, a dramatization. And the way to tell for me is, how does that feel? Because God gives us instincts, gives us feelings. Because our brain is a product of our programming as a kid, of what everybody told us we should be good boys, good girls, and the rest. Get current events if you watch the propaganda on TV, you get points in school. Our feelings know what's authentic to us. So if something feels bad, say no. That's a lesson of this disease. When you go back to mind, body at the end, really it's a good thing for us to launch into that piece of it, because you can tell by how it feels. If it doesn't feel good, say no. That's our soul saying no. Yeah. And we need to listen to that.
Our yes needs to be as powerful as our no. And we're about to get started, Dr. Teitelbaum. Right on cue.
When you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
And welcome back to the McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn and grow with one another. I am so excited to have Dr. Jacob Teitelbaum on the show. You can listen to him I could listen to him all day long. This show is all about finding your truth. And there are people that are the holders, the carriers of the keys that say, you know what, you're not going to domesticate me. Dr. Teitelbaum and I were talking during the break about how, we've been taught to trust and don't verify. Just believe what you're being told. And the reality is we have been lied to. And this is the place where we take responsibility for ourselves. No longer can you blame somebody else for what's going on. We create our reality. We create it. And the great news is, if we created it, we can uncreate it. We can create something new. We are at freedom. We are at choice. And we may not like what's happening to us, but we can certainly choose how we are going to respond to it. And so today I'm asking you to choose to like or become a subscriber of my site, whenyouneedafriend.com. When you're in there, make sure you check out my sponsors, because without them, this show would not be on the air. And you have this, for free. This is all free. You get to hear these wonderful teachers on the show. So please check out my sponsors and figure out how you can support them. There's so many different goodies at whenyouneedafriend.com. And I want to encourage you not only to become a subscriber and grow with me on the website, but also like me on my social media. All you have to do is go to one place and it's all there. YouTube, just click the button. If you want to be on demand, click the button. So many different buttons, and there's past shows that you can listen to catch up on this journey that I've been on. My education has been the show, and I'm very excited about it. You can call or text me at 407-373-5959, and I understand that we now have a group. It's a Lillian McDermott Radio Show group that you can talk all you want on it, share your thoughts, share your feelings. There's more to that when we return some other time. But today we're going to be talking to Dr. Jacob Teitelbaum, and you can find him at Vitality 101. There's also Fatigue also, right, Dr. Teitelbaum?
Yep. On vitality101.com is totally for giving information. And then we have a separate site that's kind of like a website shop for supplements. So if people wanted to pick up supplements, the Fatigue will have that. I might keep them separate.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
But I want to say one thing, though, Lillian. I'm on the air a lot. I'm on CNN, Fox, Good Morning America, all these different things. And I just want to say that for the listeners, there's so many people out there giving half-baked information. It's just so biased or just not so good. What I find with Lillian is that she has incredible authenticity. She's real and she cares. And most people are good people out there. But Lillian, I think as you're growing, you're going to find that you develop a team because people will know they can trust you. You talk about trust and verify. But I think I'm pretty empathic, and I can feel and see into people, and you're the real thing. You do
Thank you.
truly care about people, and that's why you're here.
Thank you.
And you have to make it all work. And for the listener, that's not that common out there in the media. I would follow along, and she's going to have a lot to teach you.
Thank you. Well, I teach nothing because I bring people like you that are the true teachers. I'm the friend that points you in the right direction. And so I'm grateful that I can point people in your direction now. So we talked about your protocol that you have developed as a result of your own journey, which, many of us think of the times in our lives that we suffer as horrible. But I truly believe that blessing comes in different packages. And we may not like the wrapping paper, but once we look into that gift, we realize how much more we are because of that. And so I can see in you that because of your wrapping, your gift that you embraced and you accepted, because you could have rejected the gift and you could have been angry about the gift, but you embraced the gift and you realized that your hardest time has become your defining moment. And so with this, you could develop several protocols, not just the S.H.I.N.E protocol, which is for people that have fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, and pain, but you also have developed another protocol for people that have Alzheimer's too. But let's continue working on the S.H.I.N.E protocol, which we've talked about sleep, we've talked about hormone. Let's talk about the I for infections.
Well, let me just wrap up a little bit with hormones. So for thyroid, if you're tired, achy, weight gain, cold intolerant, you deserve a trial of thyroid hormone, regardless of what the tests show. If you get irritable when hungry, tendency to low blood pressure, you need adrenal support, regardless of what the blood tests show. For the infections, there are literally over 100 infections that can trigger blowing a fuse and fibromyalgia. Most important one is candida. If you have nasal congestion, sinusitis, postnasal drip, clearing your throat a lot, or if you have irritable bowel syndrome, gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, that's candida. There's no test I would give a nickel for. You just treat the candida, do a good probiotic. I will go to medication diflucan for 6 weeks. I go with caprylic acid or a host of other natural berberine. And then there are many viral infections, many antibiotic-sensitive infections. Lyme is just one of those. So it's as part of Lyme. What we call Lyme disease is a subset of this whole bigger thing where the whole S.H.I.N.E protocol needs to be treated. So the infections all need to be addressed. We treat those, and most of that is based on clinical signs and symptoms in response to treatment.
Very good. Okay, so I want to dive into all of these, but this is really Meet Dr. Teitelbaum 101. So let's move on to the next one, which is nutrition. And nutrition, we talk a lot about nutrition on the show. It's one of the things, but we're not just what we eat. There's a lot more, but I'm glad that you have included nutrition in your protocol. So share a little bit about what you prescribe for nutrition.
Well, for optimizing energy, it's critical. People ask, what vitamin or mineral do I need? And the answer is, you need all of them. And it's just
yeah.
By
it's
definition.
Amazing how the body just like breaks down when something is broken in the body.
Yeah, if you have just one thing missing, like a tire on your car, it doesn't work very well.
It doesn't work unless you're Fred
thing.
Flintstone. Yeah.
There you go. So here's a simple recipe. And I would begin with the Energy Revitalization System vitamin powder. That's for everybody. It's an outstanding multivitamin mineral. 1 scoop literally has 50 key nutrients in it. Replaces 35 to 50 pills a day. Mm-hmm. And if you think I'm kidding, try me. It'll take you more than that.
Okay.
And then for that, I add 1 scoop of ribose. Ribose is a special energy nutrient. And I actually did 2 studies on that one.
What's it called again? How do you spell that?
Ribose. You can get it. It's called S.H.I.N.E ribose. That's the one I would get. And all of this is at nfatigue.com. You can get it in health food stores. It's pretty readily available.
Okay.
Put the 1 scoop of ribose, stir, add water and stir, and be the best 30 seconds for energy people spend all day. Like I said, increased energy, an average of 61% at 3 weeks. Blew our minds. It was amazing. And then you want Vector Omega, which is how to get the omega-3 fish oil support. Vector Omega 1 pill replaces 7 big fish oil pills. Mm-hmm. Coenzyme Q10, take it for some food, 200 milligrams a day. Acetylcarnitine. 1,000 milligrams a day. And then if the ferritin level for iron is under 60, then take iron. So those are the keys in terms of supplementing. For diet, you want to decrease sugar, you want to increase salt, and increase water intake. High protein does better than high carb. But again, avoid excess sugar. Sugar really drives this illness nuts.
Yes, I understand that. So there's so much that you said that I want to talk about. You said decrease sugar, increase salt. But are you talking about a particular salt? Because table salt is really bad for us.
No. If you salt restrict with this disease because of the hormonal deficiencies, you will crash and burn. There's a medical myth that salt is bad for us. It's kind of like Mark Twain said, all things in moderation, including moderation. So there's a time, for enjoy too, but your body needs much more salt than the average person's.
Are you saying everybody or just people who have fibromyalgia?
People with fibromyalgia.
Got it. Okay, got it. I wanted to clarify that. Good.
Because the hormones that go down include antidiuretic hormone, which holds on to salt and water. So you're leaking like a bucket with holes in the bottom of it. And it's just the water and the salt pour out. You've got a lot of salt, a lot of water, or your blood pressure is going to drop. And every time you're up and around, you're going to feel brain fogged and wiped out.
Interesting. Okay. It's like when you just said that, something clicked. I know somebody who has issues and she needs to have a lot of salt in her body. I wonder if she has fibromyalgia and they just haven't diagnosed it.
If she goes to vitality101.com, click on the resources, she can look up an article on hypotension. It'll have a quiz that'll tell her in 1 minute if she has orthostatic intolerance.
Very good.
A lot of tools there.
Very good. I would love, okay, so we're going to have to do a series with Dr. Teitelbaum where you come back every day. And I really appreciate being in Hawaii, you coming in here and because I know it's very early over there. So I'm very grateful that you are joining us today to be on the show, the Lillian McDermott Radio Show. And we're going to talk more because we just finished sleep, hormone, infections, nutrition, and we're going to talk about exercise, the E word, when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Oh, that E word, Dr. Teitelbaum.
That E word is especially controversial in this disease because some doctors said, exercise helps, so you must be crazy and it's not real. Exercise helps cancer. It's just let's see if we get people past that. Think, exercise helps, I'm crazy. Let's diffuse that and help them realize, but you got to stay conditioned.
Hold on, because you're breaking up. Okay, so the mics are off. Okay, so thank you, Brian. So what was that again, that last part that you said?
So let's teach them that exercise doesn't have to be the nasty word because of the controversy going on. That exercise helps doesn't mean the disease is not real.
Yeah.
The doctors are saying, well, exercise helps, it's not real. They're just idiots. Studies show it helps cancer also.
It's so funny when you came up with, when I read your protocol and I was looking at, your profile, you're the first one we have join us from the documentary because I thought that it's so easy. You make it so simple. S.H.I.N.E, mind, and you said something very complimentary during the show. And I just want to say that you see in people who you are. So I want to give you back the compliment. Thank you so much for being so sweet about acknowledging what I do, and I really appreciate it.
Well,
and so
I simply speak what I see.
I could, it got me in a lot of trouble when I was young. I had to numb up my feelings because I blew up a lot of relationships. People don't want to hear the truth.
If they can't handle it.
I know. And I needed to learn how to speak my truth without offending. And that was my responsibility. That was because it's at times, people are not ready. And I learned, one of the things I learned when I was, when I became a life coach, well, actually when I was going through my process, my transformation, one thing I learned is to ask for permission. That if I see somebody is closed, I'm not going to waste my time.
Well, if you answer a question that's not asked, you're wasting both of your times. And if you push it, you're going to trigger the resistances. So as a teacher, why would you answer something that the person isn't ready for? That's just an exercise in arrogance.
Yes,
Sorry.
yes. And when before I went, I learned some, I just needed to be tweaked a little. And when I learned that, I realized, wow, look at all the energy I saved just from being able to channel what I'm seeing, because I'm a really good problem solver, but I need to use that for me and not necessarily for anybody else when they're not asking. So as a life coach now, they ask, and it's a lot easier to do it that way. Did you hear a nice bang? Something must have fallen down.
That's on my end.
Okay. I'm looking, whoa, what is that? Okay, the sky is falling. I think we're about to go back. Here we go. This is our last segment, Dr. Teitelbaum.
When you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the radio show, where we always try to, why did I use that word? Try is a bad word. Try, when you say the word try, you're not even going to go there. You're just looking good. You're saying, yeah, I'm going to try, I'm going to try. And that means I have no intention to doing this. So why that word came out today needs to be addressed. Don't try to get better. Do it. Do whatever it takes to get better. And so today I am introducing you to someone who is very genuine, who really cares. I was sharing with him during the break that the reason he sees that in me is because he carries it himself. You see in others who you are. And so I want to encourage you to go to Vitality101.com and learn whether or not you have fibromyalgia, or maybe there's something else. This is Dr. Teitelbaum's way of cloning himself legally. So make sure you go to Vitality101.com. Now, before we went on the break, or during this whole hour, we've been talking about the S.H.I.N.E protocol for people with pain, fibromyalgia, and what is the other one here?
Chronic fatigue syndrome,
chronic
fibromyalgia.
fatigue syndrome. Yes, exactly. Okay, so we talked about the S.H.I.N.E protocol, which is sleep is for the S, H is for hormones, I is for infection. We just finished talking about nutrition, and now we're talking exercise, the big old E. So let's talk about that, Dr. Teitelbaum.
Well, here's the key. It's exercise as able. And many of you in the community have been abused by people saying, oh, well, the PACE study showed that exercise helped and therefore you're crazy. It's like, no. Research shows that for cancer, exercise helps. That doesn't mean people with cancer are crazy. It means that the doctors who say that are crazy.
Correct.
Ignore them. They're idiots. So that whole PACE study, just ignore that whole nonsense.
Well, that's what keeps, it's a disease society. It's disease care. It's not preventative care. And so exercise helps for everything.
Well, here's the thing. Exercise is critical for conditioning, but in this illness being an energy crisis, you can only make a certain amount of energy. And if you spend more than that, you will crash and burn. It's called post-exertional malaise. So if you do a certain level of exercise and you feel like you got hit by a truck for the next 2-3 days, that was too much for you. So exercise as able. You'll find that you can walk to a certain amount and comfortably handle it. You can feel good, tired after, better the next day. That's what I would aim for. After 10 weeks in the S.H.I.N.E protocol, your energy levels will be increasing, and then you'll find you can start to condition. So you increase by maybe 50 steps every couple days until you get up to that 5,000 steps a day, and then you want to aim eventually for 10,000 steps a day or 5 miles. So that's just, but listen to your body with it. I know you can't do that much now, and you're afraid to because it wiped you before. But see how much you comfortably can. Ease your way back into that again. Now, so we talk about how to get pain relief.
Absolutely. You can talk. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and say whatever you want, because this is our last segment, and it's been nice having you here to share. There's a lot of people in pain, Dr. Teitelbaum.
Absolutely. So first of all, if I had to take one herbal mixed with me on a desert island for pain, I would take something and write this one down too. It's called Curamin. Curamin. It's a mix of curcumin, boswellia, DLPA, and nattokinase, but a very highly absorbed form. This has been a pain relief miracle for people.
Wow.
The company even asked if they could quote me on the bottle. I said, sure, go ahead. This is amazing stuff. And you want to give it 6 weeks to see the full effect. You can take it with any pain medications. Another herbal mix is End Pain. Very good. The two can go together. Topical comfrey cream can be very helpful. So this is a good starting place. Now, for it's also okay to use the pain medications here. It's funny sometimes people think, oh, I'm going to be strong. I'm going to go to heaven, and God's going to give me bonus points because I suffered and didn't take the pills. It doesn't work that way. So there's an old joke about this minister back in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. We used to have floods going all the time, so this new guy moved in, and the Coast Guard comes in and says, flood's coming, everybody's out, and everybody knows, and boom, they move out. But this one minister said, no, God will take care of me, I'm staying at faith. Yeah. Meanwhile, floodwaters come in, he's on the second floor, Coast Guard comes by, and his window and says, get in the boat, you're going to drown. He says, no, I have faith. He's up on the roof. This helicopter comes by, drops your rope out, and says, you will drown, get in. He says, I have faith in God. I trust. And, floodwaters wise, blah, 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 blah. He dies, goes to heaven. He's storming around a snit and God comes up and says, what's this brouhaha? And he says, I had total faith in you, and you let me drown. And God says, what are you talking about? I sent the National Guard, I sent the Coast Guard, and I sent a helicopter.
Exactly.
The medications are like that. It's really okay to use them. And now the question with narcotics, the good thing is that most people don't need narcotics to get pain-free. But if they do, the pain is much more toxic than the narcotic. The whole debate is framed wrong. The debate should be, how can you get people pain-free without narcotics?
Yes.
And then if they need narcotics, how can it be used safely? And that should be the proper thing. Media makes it much more fun to make what's called a Sophie's choice. Die or be in pain. I was like,
no, well, it's fear. It's fear.
Yes.
And I've taken fear and I've changed it to a new acronym for fear is follow every avenue required to live the life that you desire. And if we take fear and turn it around and start looking at, nothing good comes from fear. Therefore, I need to, or I get to, learn a new way. Just like you did, Dr. Teitelbaum, you learned a new way to heal yourself that nobody had shared with you, but you had to go through what you went through. It was like your rebirth.
It was absolutely my rebirth. And, I know that right now things may seem hopeless, but I have treated thousands of people. We treat people from all over the world, most by phone because they're too sick to travel. You can get well. Now research shows, our experience shows that 85 to 90% of people improve with an average 91% increase in quality of life. This is a very, 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 very treatable illness. And you can get your life back. Trust me with that, because I've been there. Yeah. And again, not everybody can afford to see doctors. We have all the tools you need on the website. They're free.
Yes.
Everything you need is there to get well now. So start to get your hope back. But as you get well, if I get you well, so you can go back to what made you sick in the first place, I've done nothing for you. Mm. So as you get well, you want to start using your energy for things that feel good, not for those things you think you should do that everybody else told you should do to be a good boy and girl for them. Do the things that feel good to you. That's what's authentic. Say no to things that feel bad. And when you say no to things that feel bad, then you're going to be authentic enough to powerfully say yes to things to feel good. Otherwise, both words are meaningless.
That is great advice, Dr. Teitelbaum, because, our yeses can be just as bad or just as good as our no. It all depends on our intention, what we deeply feel inside. And, I talk about this all the time on the show, that if we look at our emotion, no different than 2 + 2 = 4, without that emotion, that anger or right, wrong, true, false, just sit with it then we would get so much more done and out of the way, deal with the emotions, the pain that brought that cell memory into that area to start promoting dis-ease. And so that was great. I'm glad that people need to do the work, the emotional work. Yes, you can get well physically, but it's that emotional work that you're talking about that could be a deal breaker if you don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And no pill can heal you if you're still not ready to do the work.
Yeah, and again, it boils down to listen to your feelings. Your brain tells you what you've been told as a child you needed to do to make other people happy, to get their approval. So, if good boy, good girl, if you do this, your feelings know what's authentic to you. Mm-hmm. And if you're going 100 miles an hour, if you're a people-pleasing person who every energy vampire in town comes up to and goes, you'll know the energy vampires. They come up and they target people, CFS empaths. And first they'll come up and they'll put the hooks in, like, oh yes, without you I don't know what I do. Hook, I couldn't survive without you. Hook, that kind of thing. And then they vomit all their emotional toxic waste on you, and then they suck you dry, and they say thank you. And so the bottom line is, if it feels good to be with the person, do it. But if it feels bad, just say no and walk away.
Say no and walk away. Thank you so much, Dr. Teitelbaum. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job. We're going to continue talking because I know that I'm not going to cut down here yet because that was too precious. I really love that. So we're going to continue now that the show is done, because this is like the show between the show. And so before we go, Dr. Teitelbaum, not enough people are talking about the emotional component of illness. Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned to you, I just spent some time with Dr. Mona Lisa Scholes learning about medical intuition. And she taught us her style and what she does. She's actually friends with Dr. Oz as well. Dr. Oz uses her when he can't figure out what's wrong with his patient. And so she's wonderful. And she taught us the different centers of the body. And
the chakras?
The chakras and how they relate to certain parts, and the pain of the skin, of the fibromyalgia, and family issues and all the different things that are going on in your life. She has been able to cross-references to an emotional component. And so I see that you're speaking that same language. And so address, if you wouldn't mind, if you could please, address that emotional component that you dealt with a long time ago. How painful was it, and what were the great rewards?
Well, basically, I had grown up as an empathic child in a concentration camp community, and my mom had been in Auschwitz. And this way, anytime I did something and she was very strong-willed. The reason she survived Auschwitz was because she said straight out, it would be much easier to die. But she figured if she survived and had children, that would be her way of thwarting Hitler. Mm-hmm. That was her, her mechanism to fight back. And if I wasn't a totally good Jewish boy, and I grew up in an Orthodox Hasidic, very, religious family, and one of those black cat robe schools, yeshiva kind of a thing. You
broke out of that, didn't you?
But it took me all of this to do that. And so if I didn't toe the line, out came Auschwitz, and here I'm 3 years old and empathic, and all this insanity of what it was would come pouring out. And so I'd want to, ease and heal, and, seeing and living in that community brought out the healer in me as a very young child. And people had no idea what they wanted to be in high school. I knew since I was in 6th grade, and 6 years old, I was going to be a doctor. I was just, or a healer, same thing. So I was just set up for not being able to say no. I was just set up for being a people-pleasing, overachieving, from somebody who just wasn't going to give approval, kind of the psychodynamic that's classic in this disease. Trying to be all things to all people, taking care of everybody but myself. And, that's finally when I was in medical school and went through the family crisis, being the the person in the middle trying to bring everybody together. That overwhelmed it, and it basically blew my fuse. And at that point, the viral syndrome is what pushed me over the edge. So in most people, their lives are set up, but it's not the infection that was the problem. It was that their bodies are on the ropes because of the rest of the things in their life, and any of a number of things just push them over the edge of a cliff. But again, it takes a while. People have to lick the wounds and go through the grieving for what they thought their lives were going to be.
Yeah.
But then once you realize, it's kind of like when you realize you know nothing, that's when everything becomes open to you. I mean, I recognize that everything I know is wrong. And that's incredibly freeing. And
Isn't it
it's
so?
amazing. It's amazing. So once you're empty, it kind of allows new possibilities. In my case, because I had no other possible choice. And you're talking about chakras. The first part of my being on the road, because I did have my old, I think, 65 or 75 Dodge Start or something that was on 3 wheels or something. And, there's a healer in Texas who was from England teaching energy work. And it was $20 for the course. It was a half-day course. And I said, I just don't have any money for that, And I was talking to this woman who had, I think, polio in a wheelchair. Sweetest older one. And I was telling about my story, and we were talking, and I said, I'd love to do the course, but I can't afford it. And so she said, well, she's having 2 courses in the day. And so why don't you ask her if you do babysitting or childcare for people for 1 course, will she gift you the other one?
Wow.
And I said, that's brilliant. So I went up to the healer and I asked her, can I do that? And she just smiled. She said, this woman in a wheelchair came and said, if you ask that, she already paid for you.
That's, there are good people in this world, Dr. Teitelbaum, and it's nice that you recognize, I mean, you what a great story. You don't know what you don't know. And that's where we live mostly. And it's the moment, and I don't know what happens to us when we receive a diploma. It happened to me, when you receive a diploma, you think, okay, we've arrived, we know it. And we get a diploma, we get a ceremony. Now you go off into the world, you know what you know, and you know what you don't know. But we live in what we don't know. And the moment we set that free, as you said, it's so liberating, but we die wanting to be right.
Oh, we don't even have language for the truth, for what's going on. It's so big. It's like an ant trying to explain the cosmos. We don't even have the language for it. So we're children. It's all, except we're learning, and we ain't seen nothing yet, which I think is awesome. Mm-hmm. And have fun and not take it too seriously.
Well, I love that. Yeah. I'll let that be the last word. I know you've got things to do, people to see, and lives to help heal. So thank you so much, Dr. Teitelbaum. I'd love for you to come back and talk about Alzheimer's and your
how about pain management?
Pain management. We can do pain. How about if you keep coming regularly? Would love that. So we'll do pain management, and we'll do Alzheimer's, the mind. And anything you want to talk about, I'd love to have you. And I'm so grateful that I was introduced to you through the Awakening from Alzheimer's. And that is very special to me because my parents are going through this right now. And I know that I can help them. The intuitive side of me knows I can help them. But again, part of what I learned when I became a life coach is that it doesn't matter what I know. When someone's not ready, it doesn't do anything.
Let's do the show on Alzheimer's too then. Well, I will be happy to do both shows with you.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'll have Ashley reach out to you. So thank you so much, Dr. Teitelbaum, for being a part of the show today. And I am very grateful to you. And I'm also grateful to you that have watched this video. And I'm looking forward to our next conversation. Hold on.